When we think about the latest billion-dollar companies, we think tech or apps. But what if I told you that the latest billion-dollar company is all about getting away from technology? John Staff and his co-founder Pete Davis have created a billion-dollar company encouraging people to unplug and go out to nature in a tiny home cabin. But why is this story important to you? Well, this billion-dollar company started with just 3 tiny home cabins. As we dig into the Getaway House story, we're going to start to see how a tiny home project turned into a billion-dollar company. And maybe you're just one tiny idea away from starting your own billion-dollar company. John Staff went to Harvard for his undergrad, and that's where he started his frozen yogurt shop called Spun Frozen Yogurt. After college, he helped start Breathable Foods, which was a company that was producing foods that you could inhale. After that venture, he co-founded Favecast. This was a platform to change advertising through peer-to-peer video communication. You probably realized that I didn't say that John started the Getaway House during his undergrad at Harvard. He didn't get his billion-dollar idea right away. He actually started different companies and he tried a lot of different things, and at times he failed. He also found that these were businesses that he wasn't actually passionate about. So what can you and I learn from John's early beginnings as an entrepreneur? Well, it's all about trying different ideas. You're not gonna get your billion-dollar idea on the first idea that you have. You actually have to go out and try these different things. You gotta find not only what you wanna do, but what you don't wanna do. And that's gonna come through failure. But don't fret about the failure, because what's important is that you find what you're passionate about doing. So you wanna find something that you actually wanna do for at least like 10 years. If you're not actually passionate about what you're creating, when it gets hard, you're going to want to quit. With John not knowing what he wanted to do after these first few ventures, he ended up going to Harvard Business School, which is where he met his co-founder, Pete Davis. They're both from rural backgrounds, so they both bonded over the idea of wanting to be outdoors and getting away from the city. So they decided that they could create a few tiny homes themselves and then create an experience for people to get out of the city and enjoy this tiny home living. After raising a few $1,000s, they built their first 3 tiny home cabins and rented out some land to put them on in New Hampshire. What I love about how John and Pete started their business is that instead of having an idea and then going out and raising millions of dollars to build like 50 or 100 tiny homes, they focused on how can we build just a few tiny homes and get it out into the market to actually figure out, do customers really want this? A lot of times we have these amazing ideas, or so we think, but we don't actually test those ideas. So we might spend a ton of time building out this idea to turn out that it doesn't actually work or people don't really like it. So instead of trying to build in secret, build in public. And you can do that by putting out a pretty decent product and then building and adapting that product based on the customer feedback. And that's exactly what Getaway House did. From those 3 houses, they were able to improve their design on the cabins. And then from there, they were able to improve on the experience for the customers. And then once they had that experience and the perfect cabin, they were able to start to build out more of these cabins and expand to different cities. Before we talk about how Getaway House was on Shark Tank, please give this video a thumbs up because it gets this video out to more people. And my goal is to help 1 million people start a business. So if you want to join me, make sure to subscribe, like this video. Now let's talk about how they were on Shark Tank. In 2017, John and Pete went on to Shark Tank. They were looking for a $500,000 investment at a 5% ownership, which would value their company at $10 million. At the time, all the sharks scoffed at this valuation and they didn't even think that it was worth $10 million. But they did get one offer from Chris Sacca, who offered them $500,000 at a $7 million valuation, which would have given him 7.14% ownership of Getaway House. They ended up not taking the deal and walking away. But once the episode aired, they ended up getting over 100,000 people flooding to their website and actually booking stays. So although they were offered the $500,000 that they were looking for, even though it wasn't at the right valuation, they still said no. Why? Because John and Pete were looking for people who aligned with their mission and what they valued. And they realized that the sharks didn't really actually believe in their business. The sharks didn't understand what the Getaway House actually stood for. For you, for me, we have to find people that actually align with us. Do you surround yourself with people who actually believe in the success of your business, who believe in what you're actually trying to do? If not, you need to find those people if you want to succeed in creating your business. Since 2015, the Getaway House has raised 3 different series of funding totaling $81.8 million. This infusion of cash has allowed them to expand to 14 cities at the time of this recording, and by the end of 2021, they're going to be in 17 different cities. While they're expanding to new cities, they're retaining close to a 100% occupancy rate, which is unheard of in the hospitality industry. Since the beginning, Getaway House has been focused on creating an incredible experience for the customer, but they've also been focused on creating the perfect design that can easily scale. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of these numbers are speculation because the Getaway House is still a private company. But if we take the latest Series C funding round, which was $41.7 million, and let's say that that was at a 5% ownership of the Getaway House, that would bring their valuation at about $834 million. But that funding was at the beginning of 2021. At the end of the year, they're gonna be in 17 different cities. The demand for travel is huge, especially after the pandemic. And I think they're gonna be right around that $1 billion valuation by the end of this year. What's crazy is that they still have so many US cities that they could expand to, let alone all the international cities that they could also expand to. Beyond just traveling, I can see Getaway House getting into experiences, just kind of like Airbnb. So maybe some sort of retreat or something like that. I can also see a Getaway House getting into products that would help your work-life balance or your relationship with technology in some sort of way. Although this is speculation, Getaway House is focused on doing one thing really well. And that one thing is an incredible experience away from the city in a tiny home cabin. To be successful at anything, you have to focus on one thing and be really, really great at that one thing. And then from there, you can expand to another product or another service. But first, make sure that your one thing is amazing. And that's what Getaway House has done since the very beginning, focusing on just 3 tiny homes and making those tiny homes and that experience incredible for the customer. If you found this video inspiring, helpful, educational, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I want to make more videos like this where I can help you and so many other people learn about how businesses have started, learn from their stories, learn the lessons from these entrepreneurs so that you can use those in your own life to start a business. I am on a mission to help 1 million people start a business. If you want to be a part of that mission, please subscribe and I will see you in the next video. Peace. First impressions. Christina, how do we feel?
It's so tiny and beautiful.
It's tiny and beautiful.
It's tiny, I love it. Yes.
It looks beautiful.
Look how pretty it is.